Bro just offended the entire Dino community. What the hell?
There is no way there's such a thing as a Dino community.
YouTube, welcome back everyone, and today we are doing another card rating featuring RDU. Hello.
Hello there.
General Kenobi.
You're a ex-Yu-Gi-Oh player, is that correct?
Yes, but it was very young when I was like a Yu-Gi-Oh pro. I don't even know if I can call myself a pro.
But the point is that you've got some experience. So let's begin with a little bit of your Yu-Gi-Oh experience. What exactly and what year did you play in? What do you remember about the game?
So I played when I was like super young. Basically, I won nationals when I was like 12 or 13. And then I went to Europeans and I got destroyed there.
You do get to call yourself a national champion of Romania, is it?
Yes, national champion of Romania. I might even be the last national champion because the next years, I think they went bankrupt and they like stopped doing events. I think it was 2009, if I'm not wrong.
2009. And what deck did you play?
I played the Lightsworn with the one Judgment Dragon. It was 3 Wolves, 0 Honest, and 1 Charge of the Right Brigade. I remember that it was kind of like a budget version of Lightsworn.
First place Romanian national champion is a budget deck. That's fair.
I got pretty lucky.
How many people were there?
Like 20.
Okay. And have you played Yu-Gi-Oh or touched it at all since?
I played a little bit online because I wanted to like keep up with it, and then I just gave up. At some point, Hearthstone came up, and I was like, oh my god, I love card games. Let's start playing Hearthstone. And now I'm still a Hearthstone pro to this day. So I've been playing Hearthstone since its release, since the beta, like, I don't know, 11 years ago or 10 years and something ago. In Hearthstone, basically, I won a lot of things in Constructed. Like, okay, let me preface everything about Hearthstone. So Hearthstone is a card game. Most of you know Hearthstone, the card game. But right now, for the last 4 or 5 years, me and a lot of other people have been playing mostly an auto battler within Hearthstone called Battlegrounds. But before Battlegrounds, I was playing the card game part, which is like very similar to Yu-Gi-Oh.
TLDR, basically, you're very good at card games, and you should have very easily transferable skills to be able to analyze these cards and give us some accurate descriptions and analysis of them, correct?
Hopefully.
So what we're going to do today is I have 5 chosen cards for you. Your job is, with your limited modern knowledge, I suppose, but some knowledge of past Yu-Gi-Oh! And your understanding of Hearthstone, to try and judge if it's a good card or a bad card. You have 5 cards. Is that okay?
Okay, it's perfect.
All right. Okay. Well, the first card I've got for you should hopefully be something that is a little bit familiar to some strategies for you. Why don't you read the name and effect for us?
Lumina, Twilight Sworn Shaman. I mean, I played with this card back in the day.
No, you didn't. You played with a different Lumina.
No? Okay. It looks similar, like my mind is playing a Mandela effect on me.
So, I'm going to give you some context here. So, Lightsworn is the deck that you played. Lightsworn is a very popular fan favorite deck that, you know, relies on milling cards.
Yeah.
Konami created, I can't remember exactly what year this was, 2017, 18-ish maybe. It was quite a while ago, but long after you stopped playing, a bunch of support cards called the Twilight Sworns. And it sort of takes advantage of the sort of chaos element, which, I mean, did you play like Blackluster Soldier or Chaos Sorcerer back in your Lightsworn deck? Any chaos monsters?
That was before I did well with pure Lightsworn.
So Konami went and designed a whole bunch of dark Lightsworns called the Twilight Sworns, and this is, I suppose, the dark version of Lumina.
Once per turn, you can banish 1 Lightsworn monster from your hand or graveyard. Then target 1 of your banished Lightsworn monsters except Lumina. Special summon it. Also once per turn, if your other Lightsworn monster's effect is activated, send the top 3 cards of your deck to the graveyard. I mean, it seems really good.
Walk us through your train of thought. And I just want to say, a lot of people usually get a little mad at me because I start, you know, gaslighting people and taking them in the wrong directions with my suggestions. So I'm going to just let you completely walk through this, talk it through. If you have any questions, I'll answer honestly. But yeah, this is all about your brain here. Tell us what you're thinking and why you think it's good, etc., etc.
Okay, so when I used to play Lightsworn, milling cards was actually good. Like, it's not really a downside, it's actually an upside. And summoning from the graveyard summoning from banished is always good. The fact that you have to banish is not ideal, but because you're able to summon a banished, That's kind of good. I don't know. I feel like there's not that many downsides.
You don't think there's any downsides?
No. I mean, just the attack, obviously. Attack and defense, the stats are pretty bad. But you can summon it quite quickly. I guess you have to normal summon it, okay? Or maybe you don't. Maybe there's a card that summons it more rapidly. But the fact that it can also special summon something, it kind of like pays for itself. I don't know. I think it's a good card.
You have any questions you want to ask me, maybe, for some context or anything like that?
The thing is, it's a good card on paper with what I remember, but it's a combo-based card. So, like, it could be amazing or, like, absolute garbage, depending on the situation.
Good card. Final answer?
Yes.
Lumina Twilight Sworn Shaman is, unfortunately, a pretty terrible card. Can you think why?
Probably because of the power creep.
That's actually a very good point. So yes, back in 2009, Lightsworn was probably one of the best decks. Nowadays, we've seen a couple of Lightsworn decks try and be iterated upon in like 2016. And actually, very recently, in this year, we have some new Lightsworn support as well. But the biggest problem with the Twilight Sworns is, as you mentioned correctly, the power creep, but also it never really took off because, as you mentioned, you have to banish, which means you already need setup. If you don't have the setup, these cards like don't do anything. So you already have to have been milling. Then you can start using your Twilight Sworns. But the payoff is basically just summoning another banish monster. Sounds really good, but because of how much disruption exists in modern Yu-Gi-Oh, how your opponent is constantly trying to stop you with hand traps, it's very hard to get going.
Yeah, it makes sense. Maybe this card would be better if it would mill first and then allow you to banish and do the effect.
Then it would be pretty crazy. All right, next card.
It's a trap card, Broken Line. When a spell or trap card or monster effect is activated in this card's column, while this card is set, negate the activation. And if you do, destroy that card.
Do you ever remember caring about
It's
columns?
also like quick play, right?
It's a counter trap.
So basically, you have to activate it to negate, right?
You get to decide when you want to do it, right? Depending on if they have a spell and trap in the column or a monster, well, it's sort of up to you which one you want to negate when they activate it. Then when you negate it, you flip this as a counter trap. It negates that thing, and then it destroys everything in the column.
Okay, makes sense.
So what are you thinking?
My first thought is that it's kind of bad. Like, I kind of remember the Solemn cards. Solemn Judgment, I think it was called. That was like a super broken card because it could negate anything. This seems like very one-dimensional because it can only negate on a specific column. I'm not even sure how it worked. Like, I don't remember exactly how it worked in Yu-Gi-Oh! You could play on any column you wanted, right? So, like, somebody could just, like, avoid your card if they wanted to.
Yeah,
to some extent.
yeah. There are cards that require zone placement and stuff like that, but you essentially, as you said, you can just choose to just play outside of that column.
Yeah. Because, for example, in Hearthstone, when you play a card, it goes forcefully into the middle, if I remember correctly. Yeah, you don't, and then it goes to left or right when you play other cards. But in Yu-Gi-Oh, you could like select to play a card on your most right or most left or.
Yep, exactly.
So yeah, this card is garbage. I don't even need any second guessing. Unplayable.
All right, final answer.
Yeah.
Okay, so you are correct. Broken Line is pretty terrible. You didn't fall for the trap of, trap, no pun intended, that it is really powerful if it does pull off. You negate a card and you destroy everything in the column. That's a pretty powerful effect. But if you are aware that it exists and you're actively playing around it, it's never really going to catch you out. And that was sort of, I think, shoutouts to Pak. He's a very well-established Yu-Gi-Oh player who tried to sort of make this work, and I think he did actually find some success playing it for like one deck in one format, but I don't think that's enough to really warrant calling this a really good card. So you're 1 for 1 now. Here is your next card.
Okay, it's a spell. When I played, wait, is that the field?
Yeah, it's a field spell. Do you remember field spells?
They were unplayable when I played.
Well, here you go. Take
If
it
your
away.
opponent controls more monsters than you do, your opponent cannot activate monster effects or declare an attack. If you control more monsters than your opponent does, you cannot activate monster effects or declare an attack. Wouldn't it be simpler if they said the player with more monsters cannot do that? Like, anyways.
Like the wording?
Yeah, like the wording.
You might be correct. you might be correct.
Also, that's another thing. After playing Hearthstone, it seems like they're using much simpler language. Even though sometimes you have to like actually play with the card to understand how it works. But yeah, anyways, I guess detailed writing is good for a physical card game like Yu-Gi-Oh! Once per turn during the end phase, if both players control the same number of monsters, destroy this card. Okay, so
I want you to take your time with this one because it's a bit to process.
I don't need to take my time. I know when you would play this. I just don't know if it's gonna be good. So you would play this in a deck that doesn't want to play any minions and wants to play mostly on like a strategy that wants to like buy time. And basically you're putting your opponent in a lock situation where they cannot really do much. Where if they're not able to kill your card and you catch them with at least 1 minion on their board, you just never play any minions yourself and you proceed to draw for your win condition, whatever that is. I don't know if you play Exodia or like something similar or like a burn, but this seems actually like a pretty good card. I'm just not sure how, like, two elements can make this card broken. Do you have a consistent deck that is able to OTK the opponent? Or, I guess you don't play it for a first turn kill, you would play it for an OTK. With a lot of drawing stuff, that plays no monsters, or very little monsters. And then the second one, in the meta game, do people play cards that can kill field spells? Like, I remember there were some cards that were destroying traps or spells, like face-up spells and stuff.
You remember Mystical Space Typhoon?
Yeah, that one.
Yeah. Okay.
And also there was like another one that was destroying more, but I forgot his name.
Heavy Storm?
Heavy Storm, yeah. And there was like another one that I think was banned when I was playing Raigeki.
Oh, Feather Duster, maybe. Okay.
So, I think it has potential. Like, if it's not a great card, if it's not a playable card, I think maybe there's going to be a deck at some point that would play it. But it's a card with potential. I like it.
Okay. Is there anything you want to clarify or ask? Because I don't think you've made any because sometimes people misunderstand fundamentally how the card works, but I think you've got this pretty solidly in terms of how it works.
I'm not sure how much they would let a deck that OTKs people in the format. So I'm willing to say that it's probably not a card that will see that much play. And then there will be a deck that destroys everybody. And then it will get like hit by the ban list. And then the card is going to go back to like not being played.
Okay. All right. So what's the verdict?
The verdict is it was good in some decks at some points. But I don't think it's a card that can constantly be good regardless of the meta game and regardless of the deck.
Good card? Bad card? What are we going with?
At some point it was good. But I'm going with overall bad card. I mean, it's good card. Good card. Good card. Good card. YOLO.
Okay, final answer. Mystic Mine is a good card. You are correct. Mystic Mine is a good card. What if I told you that this card is the most hated card probably in all of Yu-Gi-Oh! And is currently banned?
Oh. It makes sense.
But the thing is...
So I was right, but they just banned the card directly rather than banning other things.
Yeah, but... So I think it's really interesting. You focused on the idea that Mystic Mine is a card that you dedicate a whole strategy to. You don't need to do that with Mystic Mine. The reason why Mystic Mine is so powerful and so broken is that you can play this in any deck. What people used to do is if you're going second and your opponent sets up a big crazy field of monsters that all have powerful abilities and effects, you just activate Mystic Mine. Now they can't activate any of their monsters. And on top of that, what a very common strategy people used to do, they would activate Mystic Mine and they would just pass for 35 turns and win because you can't attack and you can't activate your monster effects. It wasn't a card that, I mean, there were niche decks that tried to play it, like Exodia, which is really funny that you mentioned. Like, this was definitely a very, very popular card if you were playing something like Exodia. But it's interesting that you didn't really pick up on that. This is a card that you can play in any deck because of the ability to go second and activate it against your opponent's big field.
I didn't think of that. But yeah, it makes sense that if they're not able to attack or activate the effect, you can just play her... And you could attack?
I mean, it doesn't affect you if you have less monsters.
Wow, that's crazy. Ancient Warriors, Loyal Guan Yun. If only your opponent controls a monster, you can special summon this card from your hand. Your opponent cannot target other Ancient Warrior monsters you control with card effects. If your opponent controls more monsters than you do, you can target one monster your opponent controls, destroy it. So, at 2.5k attack, you would never want to tribute summon for this guy. But thankfully, you can special summon it.
Mm-hmm, yep.
He takes the aggro.
What does that mean?
That means that you can protect your other cards with this guy.
Oh, okay.
Like you can
the
special
protection
summon this
effect.
guy and then play another important minion and then you're forced to attack into this guy. I'm trying to figure out if the condition of your opponent having a monster is tricky. Like, it only works when they have specifically one, right?
No. If only your opponent controls a monster. So they can have 5, they can have 3. But you need to control
okay.
nothing.
Like, one downside is if you draw 2 of this guy, you can only play 1.
If you draw 2 Mystic Mine, there's only 1 field spell. And we know that card's banned, so...
So, if your opponent controls more monsters than you do, you can also target 1 and destroy it. Oh. More means if you have 1 and 1, it doesn't work, right?
Yeah, I guess that would be greater than, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, card seems good. I don't know. You play it when they have 2 minions. You destroy one of them, then you play another. You can turn the game around a little bit. It seems good.
Seems good?
Yeah.
Loyal Guan Yun, I will say, for the reasons that you mentioned, is actually not terrible. The problem is that it's not that good in terms of a payoff. There have been many other options that you can play. Now, if I give you the context of something like Mystic Mine, where, you know, you're trying to play go second defensive cards, yeah, this seems like okay, but there's just going to be much better options. We've had a lot of different options over the course of Yu-Gi-Oh's lifespan. We've had Fenrir, we've had Pankratops, we've had Alpha, which I'm sure you've probably never heard of any of these cards. But the entire lifespan that Guanwon has been around, other than actually in an Ancient Warrior deck, it hasn't really taken off and done much. It's a card that basically says that you get to, like, trade 1 for 1.
Okay. Makes sense.
Got you there with the power creep, I suppose. I'm sorry. Like, sometimes that feels bad.
Yeah, I
to,
mean,
like...
I said it's a good card, but I wasn't like, wow, this is like the most broken card of all time.
Yeah, so...
Like, a card like this in Hearthstone would be a bomb. Like, it would be so good.
Really?
If you could summon it for free from your hand, if your opponent has more minions than you.
It's still different with mana, isn't it, I guess?
Yeah, but I guess in the realm of Yu-Gi-Oh, where you have, like, as many special summons as you want, it's not so crazy.
Alright, so where's your score at? You got... So...
2-2.
You're 2-2. Okay, so you're down to a deal breaker here. Alright.
Let's go.
Here we go.
I'm
Last
ready.
and final card.
Oh my god. Miscellaneous Saurus. During either player's main phase, you can send this card from your hand to the graveyard. During this main phase, dinosaur-type monsters you control are unaffected by your opponent's activated effects. You can banish any number of dinosaur monsters from your graveyard, including this card, to special summon 1 dinosaur-type monster from your deck with a level equal to a total number of those monsters banished to activate this effect, but destroyed during the end phase. Okay, that's an effect.
That is... Yeah, let's take some time to absorb this.
Usually, I assume you would want to discard it and send it to the graveyard during your opponent's main phase, so that it activates during your main phase. Otherwise, you kind of waste 1 turn, right?
It's either player's main phase, so you can use it on your turn going first, and in your opponent's main phase.
No, but the effect is activating during the main phase, right?
Yeah.
Because it says during this main phase.
Yeah.
So for
you
example,
can use...
could you
Go on.
discard it and use it immediately?
Yeah.
Ah, okay. So you can discard it, you can put it in the grave during either player's main phase, but you can also do it and then activate it immediately. So then I don't really see a reason to do it on your opponent's phase, because they might interact with your graveyard, whereas you have like full control. Yeah, okay. Dinosaur-type monsters you control are unaffected by your opponent's activated effects.
So basically,
Okay.
so what you have to do is you discard this, and then when it resolves, all of your dinosaurs are unaffected by card effects for this main phase.
You can banish any number of dinosaur-type minions from your graveyard, including this card. I mean, this is like super specific because, first of all, I don't know if dinosaurs are good. And then I don't know if there's like a big dinosaur that you can summon and do some crazy things with it until it dies at the end of the turn.
So basically, the second effect is it banishes itself for cost plus however many you want. So if you banish itself, just itself, you can special a level 1 dinosaur from your deck. If you banish itself and another dinosaur in your graveyard, you can special level 2 dinosaur from your deck. If you banish itself and 2 others, 3, 4, 5, etc., etc.
Oh, okay. So it doesn't sum up the levels.
Right, it's not like the total level, like it's not like banish Misk, summon
Okay,
a 4.
then it's garbage. I think the card is garbage.
Okay, walk us through that.
just way too conditional. Like, first of all, it has to be played in a dinosaur deck. Dinosaurs have to be good.
Let's assume that dinosaurs...
Dinosaurs don't sound very sexy. Like, I don't know. I find it hard to believe that they would actually make a dinosaur deck.
Bro just offended the entire dino community. What the hell?
There is no way there's such a thing as a dino community.
Let's okay, other than the fact of like the metagame and stuff like that, just as in theory, like let's talk about like if you are playing a dino deck, right? What are you thinking about this? Tell us about the first effect.
If you are playing a dino deck, definitely you play this card mostly for the first effect. But I don't really see the other one with banishing dinosaurs and summoning something being that amazing, unless you have some specifics. Like, for example, maybe there's like a 3-star or 2-star or 5-star dino that is like super powerful to summon from your deck. I guess you can like select it, right? It's not random or anything.
No, you choose the dino. That's why you control like the autonomy of how many you want to banish. If you want to banish just itself and summon a level 1, you summon that level 1, etc, etc.
Now I feel like you're baiting me into thinking this card is actually good.
I am just giving you the context. I'm not trying to sway you one way or the other. You decide for yourself if you feel like I'm
not swayed one way or another. I'm 100% sure this card is bad. Actually, not 100%. You can never be 100%. But I would say this card is bad. I like the part of effect where your dinos cannot be targeted by any effects, but if this card is good, it's only good because of that. But the other part of the effect is like so bad. So you would play it just to like have it in your hand and then like discard it to like protect your dinos in a dino deck. I would like never use the part where you summon a dino from your deck by milling to the banish. Okay, if dinos are good, you play this card, but I find it hard to believe that dinos are good because of this card. Without knowing other combos, it's hard to say. So I would go with this card is bad, but again, if you play dinos, you play this card.
But if you play dino and you play this card, then it's a good card, no?
Not
like, you're not going to put
necessarily.
Misk in your Dark Magician deck. I know that, right?
I
but
mean,
if you're saying that it's good in dino, then it makes it a good card.
Not really. A card can be good by context. Like, it's kind of like having a mediocre football player in like one of the best teams in the world. They're still gonna win.
Bro's calling Misk a mediocre football player.
No, I don't know about other card. I don't know anything about other card, dude.
Don't take anything away from me laughing as an answer to the quality of this. That's up to you, okay? What do you think? I'm just trying to understand this logic of you saying that it's a good card in Dino, but you're not saying it's a good card. Like, so, but you deck building wise, yeah, you know, like if you have a good Warlock card, like you're not gonna put it in Mage because you can't, right? Like that, obviously, that's just logical, right? That a good Mage card isn't bad.
You can have an amazing Warlock deck that plays a mediocre card just because it has to play a card.
Okay, all right, we're getting into some deep deck building theory, I feel like. Just give it your final verdict. Miscellaneous Source, good card or bad card?
I mean, I'll stick with bad card, but based on your reaction, it's probably a good card.
You're completely wrong. Miscellaneous is one of the best dinosaur cards, probably the best dinosaur card ever printed. In fact, it was banned for a while. That's how broken Miscellaneous is.
So dinosaurs were actually good, or are actually good.
They were okay for a period, but just because of how good this card, it was a staple in every single dinosaur deck, and every Yu-Gi-Oh deck could absolutely, every archetype in Yu-Gi-Oh wishes it could have its own version of Miscellaneous. That's how broken Miscellaneous is.
For which effect? For the one with
You know, it's really interesting you focus so much on the second effect, which is very good, but the first effect is absolutely ridiculous. You activate this during your main phase, and now you just play an entire turn, and your opponent can't interact with you. That's absurd. Your opponent cannot...
I mean, I said if it's good, it's because of that.
But it's also a combo card. Because you activate this, you play your turn, you link off or overlay or synchro with some of your dinosaurs, and then you banish Mist from the graveyard and you summon another dino from your deck and you keep playing. It does everything. It's a starter card and it's a defensive card in one.
Okay, I underestimated dinosaurs. I was just not sure that it was worth it to like banish a million cards to summon one card from your deck.
Well, ironically enough, the best dinosaur target for this is level 2. So all you need is this.
Okay. In that case, it makes sense.
Yeah, in fact, there was a while even where before they printed Animador and Archosaur, you could just banishing Misk by itself was good enough because there was a really good level 1 dinosaur you could summon Aeolo, and then do some synchro combos with it because it was a tuner level 1 dinosaur monster. So Misk has always just been incredible. All right, so yeah, let's conclude. What's your general thoughts on the game? I guess from very little amount that I've exposed you to Modern through these cards.
Seems fun. Like, it seems that it's interesting. Maybe like more interesting than it was when I used to play. But Yu-Gi-Oh has always been a great game. Like, I always loved it when I was a kid, especially. And then I only moved away because they stopped doing stuff in Romania. Like, I just physically couldn't play, and online was not really that popular back then. And then Hearthstone came out, and then Hearthstone stole me. But I think it will always have a place in my heart. It's a fun game.
Why don't you play some Master Duel?
I'm just like super focused on Battlegrounds and Hearthstone in general.
Well, thank you so much for being an awesome guest. This was really funny. Well, I suppose technically you lost. 2 and 3 is your score.
Yeah, I lost. I mean, close calls.
There were some close calls. Yes.
Close calls.
And I did try to make them a little bit more
I got
difficult.
beaten by Lumina, I think. The Lumina was like the biggest one that I should have figured out is bad.
All right. Where can people check you out? I suppose we've already kind of covered that, but give us a little closing statement, shout out for yourself.
Twitch TV RD Live. I'm also doing YouTube videos of like Twitch highlights, but I'm mostly focusing on my Twitch. And you can find me on my Twitch. I'm streaming every day other than Saturday. Just pretty much all day I'm streaming.
Anyone needs any top tier Battlegrounds content in Hearthstone, you know where to check them out.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for joining me, and thank you everyone for tuning in. And until next time, peace out.